Welcome back to episode 64 of the Underage Packers podcast. I'm one of your co-hosts here today, Joey. Joining me, as always, is we go through the same thing every time, but it's my great co-host, Big B. How are you today?
I'm doing pretty well.
If I didn't say the episode number at the start of every episode, you could not tell the difference between any of them. I'm trying to think of some new ones, but I've been too lazy and I haven't went in and created a music intro for us. But once we get to our 1 year anniversary, which is April 21st, I'll probably create like a one for the season 2 of our Underage Packers. But a lot of ball game left there. It's March 26th today. Today, me and Big B are going to be talking about the little morsels of news coming out of 1265 Lombardi. Kevin Keene re-signing Mercedes Lewis back on the team. 2 Packers legends potentially signing with other teams. And all of that good stuff. And we'll end it off with some draft talk. It should be a good time. Let's start it off with the cornerback of your dreams. Cornerback Kevin Keene from Washington. I don't know why I'm talking like we just selected him, but Kevin Keene, fan favorite, I would say. Is that fair to say, Biggie?
Yeah.
Really popular among the fans. I'm sure his jersey is right up there with Aaron Rodgers for top sold on the team. People just love him. No reason. No shock. People were ecstatic when we were signed him for 1 year, $6 million. And as we always, as I love to say, is, wait for the numbers to come out after the agents get their little numbers out, their little PR push saying, look, so everybody else, all the other players on Twitter can look at that and say, I want this guy and whatnot. It's a 1 year deal for Kevin Keene, but it's really voided over 4 years. And the Packers could really, he might not even make the roster if they feel they don't need him, if he's being paid too much. And here's the thing about Kevin Keene. I said this in our video we made about him. I loved, I don't read the comments on our YouTube videos, but we got like somewhere around 35 comments on that one. I put a little
crazy,
put a little fish bait in there with elite, put an elite in the title. Hopefully that worked out. It seemed like it did. And I'm sure they were all just over thrilled with the signing of Kevin Keene. Big B, any thoughts on Kevin Keene being back with the Packers?
Think of this overall. I think this is a great signing. I feel like this is telling us that they're not confident in Josh Jackson at all. So, and I hope nobody is confident in him because.
Hold on.
Yikes. Uh-oh.
You keep talking about Kevin Keene.
All right, Kevin King. We need that physical corner on the outside. Matt LaFleur loves that. So we got our physical cornerback, and
who's confident in Josh Jackson?
Okay.
Mark, Matt LaFleur might not be confident in Josh Jackson, but I'm confident in Josh Jackson. I'll tell you what. Look at this. Come off.
Oh God.
Put a little time lapse in here. I can't get it off, but there's me with Josh Jackson right there. So I'm confident in Josh Jackson. I'm going to wear his jersey for the rest of this episode. So Josh Jackson breakout year next year. Supposedly he had a great camp last year. That translated to like some 3 awful weeks when Kevin Keene was out. But they were similar players, Kevin Keene and Josh Jackson. It is really telling. But who knows? Maybe Josh Jackson has another great camp. And they're saying, look, Kevin isn't worth this money. Most of it, I think half of it or just under half is incentives for staying on the roster. So they cut him. Josh Jackson takes that role, and then you have another corner. And depending on if they select one that plays more in the slot or on the outside, either way, they have some flexibility there. So as much as people like to think that he's going to somehow cost us another NFC championship game, and like I said to Big B pre-show, we're going to try our best not to just spend the whole time telling everybody that why we lost the NFC championship game and why they're all stupid and we're the smartest Packers fans ever. I know sometimes we have to divert from the facts to go to some other opinions, but That's Kevin Keane signing right there. And then one that probably my favorite move of the offseason is re-signing Mercedes Lewis to a 2-year, $8 million deal. Big B
Told
had
ya.
the initial reported. He had his source that Mercedes he did want to come back with the Packers, as well as our friend Norman, who might be making an appearance on the YouTube channel here sometime soon. Mercedes, wasn't too happy with what the Packers were offering him, and they ended up with this deal. So Mercedes Lewis, I cannot tell you people that he doesn't have the fantasy numbers, and he was never going to have the fantasy numbers. But what Mercedes Lewis adds to this team, not only on the field but in the locker room, is incredible. His locker room presence, I think everybody on the team absolutely loves him, including Matt LaFleur himself. So he's perfect for what we need, and especially in those first few weeks with David Bakhtiari out and adjusting to no Corey Linsley, man, it's going to be nice to have Mercedes there. And he really hasn't taken a step back, even at 36 years old. He's been in the league. He's had one more season than Aaron Rodgers. He's going into his 16th year, or maybe it's one less, something like that. But he's an old dude, I'll tell you. Just signing a 2-year contract at 36-year-old as a tight end, man, that is legit right there. Mercedes Lewis, love to have it on the team. We didn't do a video on this, Big B, so I'm interested to hear your thoughts. Overpay, underpay, Mercedes Lewis, love him. 89, big dog, woof woof.
Woof woof. Very good locker room guy, like everyone is saying, and think it's perfect. I expected it to be a 2-year deal. Just happy to have him back on the team.
Exactly.
He's one of my favorite players, and so happy to have him.
Yes, and I guess we'll talk about if your reaction to Mercedes Lewis or Aaron Jones is, oh my God, what about the cap space? And this is the thing that gets me. It's like, I get wanting to pay attention to it, and especially in a year like this where the Packers have problems. But can you not just sit back and enjoy the fact that you're going to root for Aaron Jones and Mercedes Lewis next year? You're not the one in charge that has to worry about how are we going to get under the cap. They're going to get under the cap, or else they'll be fined. So they're going to find a way. I promise you, no matter what. And again, I mean, they wouldn't sign Mercedes or Aaron if they didn't have the money. Now let's talk about what this means for the other tight ends in the room. They tendered Robert Tonyan, and I saw a lot of people a little confused about that. Mercedes was an unrestricted free agent. Robert Tonyan was a restricted free agent. That's the reason they paid Tonyan $3 million and not $8 million for over 2 years. And first of all, that's only a $2 million difference, and that's depending on what guarantees and incentives there are. But also, if there's no reason to place a first round tender on Robert Tonyan. If someone is willing to offer their second round pick for Robert Tonyan, you accept that right away. Not only because you have plenty of tight ends in the room to replace it, but I just really I didn't see anybody that would be willing to offer a second round pick for a tight end that has had a great year and a system that really favored him. I mean, he was open on a lot of his touchdowns, mostly because of the scheme, I think. So give it a year. He was an undrafted free agent 2 years before, so there's really no reason for any team that would want to pay him an outrageous amount of money. But that's that. Another thing in the tight end room, Jay Sternberg. Big B, what do you think bringing Mercedes Lewis back means for Jay Sternberger, the tight end from Texas A&M?
Tight end from Texas A&M. Well, of course, it brings that veteran leadership back in the tight end room, which will hopefully improve Chase even more. Sucks that he was injured and COVID and strep throat, apparently, he had last year. That really stumped everything. So hopefully Jace can just learn a little more from Mercedes Lewis and become hopefully a great tight end.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people don't realize, they drafted him for a reason. And every tight end in this room is so completely diverse, except Robert Tonyan. He kind of just does it all because he's Robert Tonyan. I'm praising him like he's the best tight end in the league after 2 minutes ago when I was saying nobody's offering him anything. But he does it all. And then you have Josiah DeGuara, who, I mean, I really even couldn't tell you how he's exactly going to be used, but he's not a traditional tight end. He's going to be used out of the backfield a lot more. Mercedes, obviously, your blocker. He's going to go up there. He's going to blind the rest for a second, get a little push off, on a Saints player, catch a touchdown. That was an amazing play. And then JC's been injured. They saw potential in him that was worth drafting in the third round, and he still has roles. So no, this doesn't mean that this is the end for Jace Sternberger's potential. Dude, the tight ends are going to become incredibly important, all on rookie contracts as of right now, or RFAs, obviously. So who knows, next year maybe they get a long-term deal done with Robert Tonyan, but they have a lot of potential inside that tight end room. And also, there's no reason to cut Jace Sternberger, just to get a roster spot. There's simply no reason to, because that roster spot would be used for a backup right end or a third string defensive tackle. But there's no reason to cut. But I just don't understand this game of we need to cut this player, especially Marquez Valdez-Scantling, because he had plenty for the team. But every player has value, especially when they're on a day 3 rookie contract. It's like, why would you cut Equanimeous St. Brown? He has like a $700,000 salary cap hit. So that's regardless of the point. Before we get to our draft talk, we have some really enthralling and exciting Packers legend news to report on. We should make this a segment here, just reporting what Packers legends are up to. And that is, so we'll start off Tyler Ervin. He is visiting with the Buffalo Bills. He is an unrestricted free agent as of now. Really helped out in the return game and in this, in the backfield early on before he got hurt twice. He saved Sean Meninga's job in 2019 by saving the return game. Just at the start of 2019, was Trevor Davis still with us? I don't think. Was he?
What year? 19?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so we had Trevor Davis at the start of the year. We all know how much of a failure that was. Shuffled through a few more guys. I'm forgetting who else we had back there, but none of them work, obviously. Bringing in this running back from the Jaguars, and he does very well in the returning game. So they kind of tried to, once he got hurt early on in the season, they tried to bring in Tavon Austin to fill that role. They tried to run a few stuff with Aaron Jones in the backfield in that same role, and it kind of worked, but no one did it like Irvin. But I do think they'll move on from it. I don't think they'll offer him anything, especially if the Bills offer him. I don't think they'll come back and say match it. But Tyler Ervin, it's going to be a shame. I think they'll look to replace it. I think they will look in this year's draft. They think there is someone that can fill that similar role. I can definitely see them spending a day 3 pick on that. Tavon Austin, no thanks. Especially after his fumble against the Bears. No thanks. He just didn't fill the role at all. We'll be good without Tavon. And then you have Josh Jones, man. People think Kevin Keene was the worst pick of 2017. And then you got Josh Jones in the second round, man. What a unlucky string of defensive backs, or maybe horrible evaluating. But Josh Jones, he spent some time on the Dallas practice squad. This past year, he was with Jacksonville, and Jacksonville just re-signed him. From what I can see by the fans, they are not too happy. I don't know if that's because he continued his dirty habits where he couldn't avoid the penalties or he missed a lot of tackles. I don't know what it was. But the Jacksonville Jaguars fans, they have endured a lot of suffering, and even they are not content with Josh Jones on their team. Man, if you have a message right now, not that he's a friend of the show, but what's your message to Josh Jones? What went wrong in Green Bay for Josh Jones from North Carolina. I'm just reading everybody's college off today.
Man, Josh Jones is being such a crybaby that one off season. He was skipping practices, and I really forgot what it was all about, like a contract situation or what it was, but that was ridiculous.
Yeah.
Never forget that one. But I'm glad he found his footing in Jacksonville. I'm glad he's getting extended.
Well, apparently his footing. Apparently, I don't know. Apparently, I don't know what's going on with him there with the Jacksonville fans, but he got another year there.
Yeah, but hopefully he does some good things over in Jacksonville. We'll be rooting for them Packer legends.
Yeah, and I'm just forgetting this one that we didn't have originally planned. Kyler Fackrell signed with the LA Chargers. So congrats to Kyler. Right. Once again, I love presuming that position of telling fans of other teams how players do. It's my pleasure to give my scouting report on Kyler Fackrell. I was thinking of Vince Bagel, who also signed an extension with the Miami Dolphins, and I want to save our Vince Bagel story for our 1 year anniversary special. So we'll save that story for then. So to end it off, I think that's all the Packers Legends news. We got Jared Cook signed a $6 million 1 year deal with the Chargers as well. He's kind of his Packer legend. This is kind of wearing off though. To end it off though, me and Big B, we each want to choose. We are about 4 weeks exactly from the draft at this point, and we wanted to give you every episode until then one draft prospect on our mind. Obviously, we'll still have a lot more draft content when we get closer to the draft. We'll have whole episodes dedicated to it, and that was our first 2 episodes of this podcast preparing for the 2020 draft. But I'll start off with my prospect, and that is Rondale Moore from Purdue. He is only 5'9", which kind of it's a turnoff for the Packers, but 5'9", 180. I'm not sure what 40 time he ran, but somewhere around 4.4. I could be wrong. I'll have to look that up here in a second. He would be a perfect placement at pick 29, and even maybe later in my Madden franchise. I know you all very care. I traded down into the second round for him, and I picked up. So that's just my personal analyst. I know that's some very detailed stuff that you're looking forward to there. Very elusive, very fast. He just so explosive and a really good compliment to Marquez Valdes-Scantling and Devontae Adams. That's really what we're looking for. Allen Lazard is there, and he's really possessive. Maybe he could make some of these plays, but Rondale Moore, I think, is what we're missing in the wide receiver room. Big B has another wide receiver, which is kind of off-brand for us because, how much we love our first-round wide receivers. But tell us about your prospect here from USC.
All right, mine is Equanimeous St. Brown's brother, Amara St. Brown. Definitely not saying that right, but whatever. Man ran a 4.5, I think, 40-yard dash at his pro day. The dude is built like a brick house. I swear, the dude is all muscle. Love what he can do. He can catch over the shoulder. Just a great all-around athlete, and I'm excited to see what he can do in the NFL. I would think we should get him at the end of the second round, or I don't think he'll be there at third,
maybe, but either trade out of the second or trade up in the third, something like that. Possibly for Amon Ra. I'm just looking this up right now. I definitely underestimated Rondale's speed. He ran a 4.29 40 and a 42.5 inch vertical at his pro day. So that is kind of insane. I hate that we didn't have the combine because now we got to look up all these individual pro day numbers. But that is what it is. That's all we got for you today on Underage Packers. Big B is departing for these next 2 weeks. So we, even though we didn't have too much news today, we wanted to get an episode out there before he had to leave. He'll still be appearing next weekend. We should have something coming out where Big B appears, and also he should be on his Twitter profile, so won't be missing him forever. Big B, any final messages until we talk again for another 2 weeks here?
Oh man. Trade for Jamal Williams.
Mhm.
Um, Jamal Williams to the GOAT. And
Yep.
I feel like the dude's gotten funnier since moving to Detroit. That's all.
Yeah, I know. I loved his press conference. He looks like he's definitely loving it, loving the new reporters. Hopefully, they find him well. And the Detroit Lions TikTok, I will tell you, is probably the best NFL TikTok. So glad that Jamal gets to experience that. Thanks everybody for watching. Make sure to follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok as well. And hopefully you enjoyed this episode. We will see you next time. As always, go Pack, go.